So let's say that you want to set up your flash unit to shoot off camera and remotely. Because, well, let's face it, many times if you're using your flash directly mounted on top of the camera, it's not a very flattering type of lighting. It's just very flat and ugly looking. There's better ways. So we're going to take a look at how you can do that. And the equipment that I'm going to be using is a Nikon D7200. And if you have a different type of Nikon body, the menus may be similar. The flash unit that we're going to be looking at will be the Speedlight, Nikon Speedlight SB-800. It's an older unit, still a workhorse today, still being used. I'm still using this all the time. Very dependable unit, and you can pick these up on the used market for a really good price now. Now you can either hand hold your flash or you can put it on a light stand like you see here. Sometimes if I'm hand holding it, I'll just maybe hold it off to the side or have an assistant hold it. And many times I'll use this as a backlight. If you're doing like a portrait of two people, you can get a really nice type of a silhouette or a semi-silhouette effect too. So there's different advantages in using this flash off the camera. So let's take a look at how you can set up your camera body first. So let's go into your custom setting menu, and then here we're going to go down to E, bracketing flash, OK on that. And then we're going to go down to E3 on this particular camera, which again, Nikon D7200. And we're going to click OK. You may already be set up to TTL, but we have to go down to where it says commander mode. We're going to scroll over to that, and where it says built-in flash, yours might already be set to TTL. So we're going to scroll over, and we have to turn this TTL off because we don't want the built-in flash to influence our exposure. And I do want to mention though, even though it is turned off, it's going to give us just a little bit of flash output, but very, very little. It's probably not going to have any effect on your image unless you're shooting at a super high ISO and you have a really fast lens on there. But normally it's not going to have any effect on your exposure. So let's go back again. Now we're going down to Group A. One thing I do want to mention, make sure that the group that you set up and the channel is compatible with your flash. So we're going to stay at Group A. Scroll over, and then we're going to make Group A now, which is going to be our external flash. And we're going to set that to TTL. And if you see the compensation over here, actually the last time I was using this, I set it up to +1. But without getting too complicated, let's just go over here and let's set the compensation to 0. Now, if you're a little bit further advanced and you are shooting TTL, because depending on whether you're shooting a very dark tone or a light tone, it could affect your exposure. So for the most part, TTL is going to work out fine, but if it doesn't, you can change your compensation here. So now you can see that we have Group A set up for TTL, which is through the lens, and we have a 0 exposure compensation. Now you may notice that I have Group B set up. I have it set to manual mode, and the compensation is set to 1/32 power. And this is something that I may use in a case where I want to use the flash to set off other flashes in the camera room. Now we're going to pop up the flash here, and then we're all set to go with the camera now. And now we'll take a look at setting up our flash unit. Okay, so let's turn on our flash here, and then we're going to hit the SCL button in the center, the select button, for about 2 or 3 seconds. And that's going to take us to this window here, and then we want to go to the little icon here, which is the wireless dark square. So we're going to select that again for a second or two, and you can see it says off. So we're going to scroll down here with the minus button to remote. And then we're going to click on select again for a second or two. And now you can see that we're in remote. And again, you want to make sure that the channels are correct. We are on channel 1 and we're in Group A, and that's what we want. If we have to change that, just hit the select button Now you can see the channel now is highlighted, and we can just scroll over to the channel that we want. We're on channel 1, select, and it's going to take us down to the group now. And again, if you want to change your group, you can. You just hit the plus or the minus button here, and it's going to take you over to the group that you want. So we're on channel 1, group A, and that's what we want. Are you still here? Great. Well, we're going to talk about a little bit of a bonus that I'm going to throw in, how you can use this setup on the light stand. Say you're doing a portrait using just one light, and we're going to go through that. And I do want to mention also, if you look at this flash here, and you know that you can swivel this. So just in case, this is the way that it normally is used. But if you look on the side here, there's a sensor. Now, just yesterday, I was doing some photography, and I was shooting in a different room than what the flash was set up to. And the flash was behind the wall and off to the side. And at first, it didn't fire the flash. And then I realized that the sensor was off in the other direction. So all I did was just turn the flash unit. So now the sensor was aiming towards the open area of where the flash was coming from, and it did fire. So just keep an eye on your sensor. If you have to turn it, just turn it towards the area of where your on-camera flash is going to come from to set it off. So let's put this back on the light stand. And as I mentioned earlier, you want to avoid using your flash directly on the camera. It's terrible lighting. I never use it, hardly ever anyway, unless I'm using it as a bounce fill indoors. But let's take a look at how you can use this. So on the light stand, you can use it directly. You can set up, say we're doing a portrait here. I just did a quick portrait of myself, and set to about 45 degrees off to the side. And then look what happens if we use it directly as it is. Even though I have a Photofonz diffuser on here, you can see the lighting is very, very harsh. So there's another way that you can do this, and you can use a softer light form. And you want to keep in mind that your sensor has to be exposed to the light. So a good way of softening that light would be using an umbrella. A softbox is probably going to hide your sensor, and your flash may not go off. So let's look at using an umbrella. Here I'm going to be using a silver umbrella, and let's put this into the umbrella holder here. So there it is. And always remember to turn your flash towards the umbrella. Very important. So we're going to, well, we can actually just turn it the way it is here. And then now we're going to be aiming it into the umbrella, and then we're going to get a nice soft light that's coming back onto the subject. So we're going to place the umbrella at about 45 degrees to the subject. And then when we fire this remotely, we're going to get a nice soft lighting here. So this is the result that we can get by using just this one light. Now keep in mind, you can also add another flash if you like. Now normally when I do a portrait indoors, I use at least one kicker light, usually two kicker lights coming in from the back and top down behind the subject, which gives a little bit of highlight and modeling to the face or to the head. So it gives a little bit more dimension. And although this one light setup can be used, you can even enhance your portrait a little bit more if you want to use a reflector, which is going to lighten up the shadows. And the reflector that I used was a silver reflector, 32-inch, I believe it is. And you can either, if you have an assistant, of course, you can always handhold this. And if you're working alone, you can use something like this, which is a reflector stand or holder. And you can just mount the reflector onto the holder here. And this holder then actually mounts onto a light stand. then you can adjust the height and the angle of it also. So using that reflector is going to give you even a little bit of a better touch. Using 2 lights is going to be even better. 3 lights, possibly, maybe even better yet. So I hope this helped you in seeing the many advantages that you can get when you're shooting your flash off the camera and you're firing it remotely. Thank you very much.